new witness could be coming to the stand in the case that is now against Fulton County D.A. Fani Willis. Defense lawyers in the Georgia election interference case against former President Donald Trump say that they want to put someone on the stand whose testimony could, quote, back up their assertion that Terrence Bradley, a witness in their effort to disqualify the prosecutors running the case, gave misleading testimony, per the New York Times.
This information comes from Cindy Lee Yeager, a deputy district attorney in Cobb County, Georgia, near Fulton County. An account from Yeager says Willis warned Bradley during a 2023 phone call, quote, "They are coming after us. You don't need to talk to them about anything about us," according to new court filings filed Monday by David Schaefer, a Trump co-defendant.
So the New York Times write-up of this is very interesting. So remember that Bradley is this associate of Nathan Wade. Okay, so there's Fani Willis, and she's the prosecutor, and she hired Nathan Wade to the Trump case, and they're in a romantic relationship. And the question is, when did that relationship begin? And was it technically kickbacks to herself because he paid for vacations? She says she reimbursed them with cash. There actually is some evidence. She likes to carry a lot of cash. And then there's the question of whether he got the job even though he was not qualified. He didn't have a record of hearing these kinds of things. So when their relationship began matters, and they were going to have Terrence Bradley, this associate of Nathan Wade. They'd had his text messages where he seemed to say in these texts that their relationship did begin before she picked him to be the special prosecutor. But on the stand, he said he tried to play that off as like, well, I was just guessing. I didn't really know. Now, and a friend of Fani Willis has said it definitely began earlier than him being picked. So according to this Cindy Lee Yeager official, Bradley told her that, the relationship definitely began before Nathan Wade was picked by Fani Willis. And that additionally, although the timing of this is not quite clear when this happened, Yeager overheard Fani Willis saying to Bradley, "You don't tell them anything about us, they're coming for us." Now that might have been, it's not clear when that happened, but this is according to Yeager.
Is there any reason to believe that Bradley would actually have firsthand knowledge of when their relationship started? Or is it possible that it all happened the way it's being described, but that it genuinely was speculative?
I think it is certainly possible, but what I think the defense is trying to argue, again, the defense is the Trump side, because she's not, we're just going through this proceeding, is trying to say that it's more likely that he was being honest in the text message, in the conversation with Yeager, and was being evasive because he doesn't want to get them in trouble. Because generally,
I get that.
That seems a more plausible series
honest
of events.
In terms of what I believe. I mean, I can imagine many a scenario where I have friends in environments where I believe they started dating before they announced it to their coworkers. I believe
before they became Facebook officials.
Right. And if you heard me talking to a third party friend, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're totally dating. But that wouldn't necessarily be based on my actual knowledge.
Right. I mean, that speaks to the fact that when it becomes a relationship is not a
yes, especially if the man was in the process of a divorce. I mean, there are a lot of other reasons that aren't so nefarious, at least not nefarious to the Trump being prejudiced in this case. That might be nefarious morally or in the context of his ex-wife, but there are other reasons to keep the secret that had nothing to do with this. And so I do wonder whether, for a lot of reasons, Bradley would have had firsthand information as to whether or not they were actually in a relationship earlier than.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like they're going to try to get Yeager on the stand to say that, and maybe she will say that, no, it was definitive what Bradley told me, that they were definitely dating and that it had definitely happened along this time frame.
To be clear, on the stand, Bradley also said that he, quote, did not personally know Miss Willis. My interaction with Miss Willis was never where I would pick up the phone and talk to her.
Right.
So that does suggest, again,
you're saying they talked on the phone.
This is what he believed to be the case, but not necessarily something that you would know if you didn't have an intimate relationship with someone.
It's like a soap opera.
It is. I was thinking this is harder to follow than Love is Blind.
And again, it doesn't really change the thrust of the case against Trump, except that perhaps the person involved in pursuing the case against Trump was not the most qualified person for the job and got it for other reasons. And it seems pretty clear at this point they should exit the case because the appearance of a conflict of interest is enough at this point.
Yeah, no. The appearance of conflict of interest isn't actually enough. She might not be disqualified from the case. They have to prove it, right? And the experts are saying that it's a pretty high bar for people getting actually disqualified from working on these cases, and it doesn't seem like we're there yet. But for me, that's a separate question from the political question of why are we still doing this? Mm-hmm. Why are we the Democrats are putting, because this is a political case. You have to be honest about that. Why are Democrats putting us in the position of having to talk about Fani Willis instead of having a substantive conversation about whether or not the past and perhaps once future president of the United States of America conspired for weeks in advance of the inauguration to undermine the Democratic results of the 2020 election? I mean, it's truly bizarre, all of the oxygen that is being taken up opining on whether or not this grown adult woman was or was not in a consensual relationship with a grown adult man, when none of that is necessary. Fani Willis, I promise you, is not the only qualified prosecutor in the state of Georgia. And for Democrats who want to do identity politics over this, she's not the only qualified black female prosecutor in the state of Georgia.
Politics over this. She's very much leaned into the cheating.
It's irresponsible, frankly, to put your own kind of, from a political perspective, I should say, it feels irresponsible to try to prioritize that over the broader interest of the Democratic Party. Now, Fani Willis doesn't have to care about the Democratic Party. Maybe she's not even a Democrat. Maybe she loves Trump and is going to vote for him. But
like all other black people,
the blacks love me. But at the end of the day, I mean, it feels as though strategically Democrats are just watching a train wreck. When they know, they have said they have all of this political investment in the potential conviction of Donald Trump in this case in particular.
Particularly in Georgia, because he cannot pardon his way out of it. It can still proceed if the Jack Smith indictment, the national case, might not be heard in time for the election. We've heard a lot of angst about that. If Trump's elected first, can he make it go away? Potentially. This one is also more compelling in terms of the number of people they've charged, gives them an ability to get other people who are charged to flip and offer testimony against Trump in a kind of RICO fashion that was not the case in the Jack Smith indictment either. So none of these are slam dunks, but it is more of a slam dunk than any of the others. So interesting to see it. Not technically unraveling, but just sort of underwater for this
on pause,
messy,
delayed for sure,
messy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we will continue to follow those developments. That does it for us today on Rising. But tomorrow we will be right back here breaking down some additional news. We'll have one of my colleagues from Reason, Matt Welch, on to discuss primary results and the third-party effect. You won't want to miss that.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while you're on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
See you later.
Bye-bye.